Hello and welcome to the 2026 Open Day Countdown, a series where we count down to opening day by braving all three teams in MLB. Yesterday we spoke about the New York Yankees, and today we talk about the Toronto Blue Jays. Last year the Blue Jays finished a record of 94 and 68, first place to AL East. They won in the ALDS over the Yankees in 4 games, they won in the ALCS over the Mariners in 7 games, but they lost in the World Series to the Dodgers in heartbreaking fashion in 7 games. Uh, the Blue Jays are obviously like trying to get back to the World Series, like trying to get back to and potentially win the World Series. So they made us some big moves this offseason. So without further ado, let's get into it. So on the hitting side, didn't make that many changes. They did sign. Sorry, they did trade for Jesus Sanchez. Last year, Sanchez had a 93 WC plus, but 110 BFIP plus, and he was also someone does better on the first half with the Marlins. But after Sanchez got traded to the Astros at the deadline, Sanchez sort of fell off a little bit. Sanchez is pretty good against righties. You can look at his splits against righties at 116 BFIP plus, 104 WC plus, but against lefties, wasn't as great. Find him only 74 BFIP plus. So Sanchez is someone that I predict will probably get platoon most likely, and that's like they're one of their main additions this offseason. They mostly traded for him because Anthony Santander, who they're hoping for a bounce back for, got hurt. So, but they did sign Kazuma Okamoto out of NPB, and he's a very good hitter. Good blend of contact and power. I can also play third base reasonably well. Uh, I'm, of course, Okamoto didn't play in the MLB last year, so I don't have any beef up data, nor do I have it like by splits even. So, but he's a right-handed hitter. Like he was better against lefties, I believe, in NPB, but still an above average hitter against righties. At the top of the lineup, the Jays had Springer, who sort of had a career resurgence last year. 166 Jersey plus, and BFIP plus said it was pretty close at 163. So not super. It wasn't like lucky by any means. Like definitely sustainable. Although like yeah, there is like a little bit question of can he repeat it, but I think he can. And then behind them, you do have Guerrero and Kirk. Two guys who were good hitters last year. 137 WC plus for Guerrero, 116 for Kirk, but FIFA plus is much higher on those two. And especially Guerrero, he was very good in the postseason. Like, arguably could have been the World Series MVP if the Jays won the World Series. And then Kirk also like a very good hitter. And then David Schneider, small sample, but he's also a good hitter. He's mostly used against lefties. Like you can see against righties, only 99 player appearances. Against lefties, he has 128. And against lefties, he's much better, 139 BFIP plus against righties. Well, actually, like he is good against righties as well, but like it's a little bit of a small sample. The Jays don't really seem to trust it that much, so I do think Schneider's probably going to be on the short side of platoon, and probably a platoon with Jesus Sanchez most likely. Yeah. Uh, Varsho also a good hitter, though he was lucky last year. BFIP plus still has him as above average. Barger, another guy who was sort of average last year. You can see the splits 114 BFIP plus against righties, against lefties. Pretty bad, only a 52. So he's probably gonna get platooned. Probably with Miles Straw, who is below average, but still like much better than Barger against lefties. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have for the offense. Onto the pitching staff. Sorry, this should be rotation. So the Jays had a pretty shallow rotation last year, but this year it's they do have a little bit more depth. They have Cease, who they signed this offseason, their big ticket signing. He's at the top of the rotation. Gosman is their opening day starter. He's also a great 8 arm. Around 350 BFIP for each of them. And then Gosman Cease like pretty bad ERA. But I think with the move to the Jays, definitely a bit of a pitcher friendly park, but more importantly, very good defense behind him. I think his ERA will be a lot better than this, potentially even better than this 345 BFIP. And Kevin Gosman probably like a 3.5 ERA as well. Lauer was sort of used as swingman, like ton of starts, ton of like long relief outings. 318 ERA last year, 357 BFIP. I think he's fine like in the back of that rotation. And Bieber and Brios, two guys who probably would have been on the opening day rotation. Like Bieber, yes, Brios, unsure, but they're gonna be hurt to start the year, so won't be in the opening day rotation. So someone like Scherzer and also another signee and Cody Ponce will be in that rotation. And then one more guy, if we get into the relievers, Corey Savage, he was a starter last year. But he's also someone who's going to miss a bit of time to start the year. He had a 3.21 ERA last year, 382 BFIP, 92 BFIP minus. So basically, BFIP, that is expected ERA according to BFIP was 8% better than average. Savage is going to miss the start of the year with an injury. I believe it's a shoulder issue, like pretty relatively minor, so he'll be back relatively soon. Yeah, the bullpen is pretty good. I'm just gonna move to the bullpen. It's pretty good. Todd Rogers stays signed this last season, and Louis Varland they acquired at the deadline. Two guys that are probably gonna be settlement for them. Todd Rogers had a 1.98 ERA last year, 263 BFIP, but he's someone who really keeps the ball in play and keeps the ball on the ground. Like you see, not many barrels at all, not many free passes at all. Strikeouts not that many, but because like these are like so astronomically low, that's why the BFIP is so good. And with Jay's defense behind him, ERA will also be much better. Will probably be better than a BFIP as well. And Varland, crazy good stuff. Touches 100. He did get some. There was like some conversation about him potentially moving to rotation, but he's going to be a bullpen arm for now. 377 BFIP last year. 297 ERA. They give up a fair amount of barrels, and that's why the BFIP is a little bit higher, but still a very good arm, like overall, and probably should be a setup man. Fisher, Nance, Lil, Fluharty, 4 very good arms last year. Above average by BFIP. ERA was much better, of course, for Fisher, Nance, a little. Fluharty, not so much, but Fluharty, he has like pretty drastic splits, I believe, like where he's very good against lefties, but not so good against righties. So he is like the guy who you sort of put in to get out those tough lefties, but because it is pretty drastic splits, he is someone who like the righty pinch hitters are gonna like do damage on him. Then Jeff Hoffman, he's the closer. He was the only arm who was below average by BFIP last year, 427, and ERA also 437, not that good either. But he's probably gonna be closer to start the year. Did strike out a ton of guys, but like walks are a bit an issue, and barrels like the home run ball was definitely an issue. So Hoffman, like if he struggles out of the gate, then Rogers and Vaughn are probably gonna step in as a closer. But Hoffman's still a decent arm in the back end. Yeah, that's what I have for the pitching staff. Onto the pretty good lineups. At catcher, I have Kirk every day. Of course, like backup, Tyler Heineman isn't really doing much. Like last year, he was pretty good by WC plus, but BFIP plus was a lot lower, which means he was pretty lucky. So Heineman not the definitely like more of a backup, in my opinion. So Kirk, everyday guy, very good hitter, very good defender. Guerrero, if he can hit like closer to this BFIP plus or even potentially to what he was doing in the playoffs, then he's one of the best hitters in the game. But WC plus 137 is only all-star level. It's still very good, but like only all-star level is like kind of crazy to say, to be honest. Like this is like sort of his floor, I'd say. And then in the middle infield, I have Ernie Clement and Andres Jimenez. I'm not a big fan of this middle infield. Like I wish the Jays had signed like re-signed Bichette, to be honest. Like Bichette, if I show him, like a little bit lucky, but still an above average hitter. 134 WC plus and 112 BFIP plus. But Clement and Jimenez were below average hitters last year. They do have good defensive numbers, but I feel like what I would do is Jimenez Jimenez is pretty good against righties. Like not the greatest, but like 83 BFIP plus, much better than Clement at 78. Well, actually not great, too much better, but like still better in my opinion. And Jimenez, I feel like he can be a bit better as well. But then Clement, against lefties, he was very good last year, 146 WC plus. BFIP plus still has him as an average hitter. And then Jimenez like much worse by WC plus, BFIP plus around pretty close to how he was against righties. But I do think that it should be like a platoon of Jimenez and Clement at shortstop. Like both of them can like Clement can play shortstop, and Jimenez like did play shortstop to end the year last year, and also in the playoffs. So Clement and Jimenez probably should be platooning. Then I would have ideal like signed a second baseman. Like maybe you sign Bichette, maybe you like trade for someone else. Like we'll see. Yeah, still they're still valuable like from the defensive end. Just that offensively they're not the greatest. And then third base, Kazuma Okamoto, again, like, sign him out of NPB. Like, unsure what to expect out of him, but I do think he will be an above average hitter. And he will, like, match against lefties out at the very least, just because he's a right handed hitter. I know against righties, he should. I feel like against righties, he should still be an above average hitter, but, like, against lefties, where he'll do, like, most of his damage, in my opinion. In the outfield, Varsho every day in center field, and then in the corners have Kuno of Sanchez and Schneider in left, Barger and Straw in right. So against righties, Sanchez and Barger, they're very similar players. Like average strikeout rate, a little bit of walks, ton of barrels. So BFA plus around the same, like 116 for Sanchez, 114 for Barger. Then against lefties, Schneider, 139 BFA plus against lefties, and Straw 91 BFA plus against lefties. So they're pretty good platoons. Like Straw below average hitter, but still like very good defender. And then Varsho center field, like solid against lefties, but pretty good against righties. Let's see. And then DH, George Springer. I put Springer at DH just because, like, Springer, I believe, he did hit, like, much better, like, when he was DHing. And then, like, he was, like, obviously, like, good against both righties and lefties, like, as you can see. So, Springer, like, everyday DH. You can play him in the outfield, and I think they probably will at points, but I do think he's more comfortable in the DH spot, and he's hit better like last year when he was in the DH spot. So I do think bring at DH is the move. So as for the pitching staff, Gosman opening day starter, Cease as a 2, Cody Ponce, Eric Lauer, Mike Scherzer. I'd say it's a pretty good 4. Like Lauer, there's a little bit of question mark, but I do think he'll be at least like average starting pitcher. Scherzer is a little bit of a question mark, but it's not just Scherzer. Like, let's say Scherzer struggles, then you do have let me find him. Like Shane Bieber, Jose Brios, I guess. Trey Savage when he comes back as well. So that's a very good 5 right there. Like these 4 are plus whoever you Savage, Scherzer, Bieber, Brios does the best. And then in the bullpen, Jeff Hoffman, Todd Rogers, Louis Varden as in your back end. Hoffman, like I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he is gonna be closer to second year, and I do think he will be solid in that role. I do think he's probably gonna be better this year than last year. To fill out the bullpen, Braden Fisher, Brandon Little, Tom Nez, Mason Fluharty. Again, like 4 guys who are well average. Like Brandon Little, he struggled down the stretch, but he was very good in the first half. And also this spring, he has been like extremely good. His stuff is up. Fastball is touching. He has a new like 4-seam fastball, and it's touching like 97. So he has a very good like power sinker that gets a ton of drop. Then plus he also has like a cutter that's more of like a slider movement, but sits like 89, 90, I believe. And then a very nasty knuckle curve that also like gets a ton of drop, and because of that, like not many barrels, so like and like ton of grounders. So and also he's a lefty too, so he's probably the best lefty in the pen. I'd argue better than Fluharty, although I know like Fluharty was like better at points last year, especially like down the stretch. I think BFIP like Little is better, and also this spring like Little has been also been better. And then on help a starter just be like the final reliever. Like the thing is the Jays have 2 Rule 5 picks. One of them is Bastardo from last year, and then this year they also picked Spencer Miles. And so the thing is that Spencer Miles and Angel Bastardo are 2 very similar arms in terms of like how they've been doing, like in terms of like just their stuff. Well, not related stuff, but like there's just like it was very hard for me to pick between Bastardo and Miles. Like I went with Bastardo at the end just because I was a really big fan of his fastball changeup combo. But Miles, I really like Miles' sinker, and then also I think I like Miles' sinker is better, and also fastball like a little bit harder. Also has a better cutter, which is like more of a slider for him. I think like what he could do is maybe DFA Nance, but I do just because I think Nance can like clear waivers, or you can like option Foolhardy or Little or Fisher just because those three have options, and then like roster both Pissarro and Miles, and then just because like uh stats wise they've been sort of similar in AAA. Like never have been particularly great, but like Pissarro has a better ERA and better FIP, but like Miles has a better XFIP. Like maybe you can like roster both and just give them each like more run just to see uh who is better out of those two, and then you can like return one or like place one on waivers, and then call back up like a Fluhardy or a Little or a Fisher, uh, if one of them doesn't pan out, or like if you DFA Nance, I feel like he's probably going to clear waivers. Uh, but yeah, like if he doesn't, you can always like if he doesn't clear waivers, then like there's probably like a market there, and then you can probably just trade him. To be honest. So yeah, that's what I have for the predicted lineups. Onto the win projection. So the Jays have like a ton of guys like projected for a ton of wins. Like Guerrero projected for 5 wins, so I do think he could be like better. Like 2024 is possible. And then Springer, he was very good last year. Probably won't repeat it. But if he does repeat it, then that's very good. Cease like consistently around 3 wins. Kirk probably 3 to 4 wins in my opinion. Varsho's pretty good. Tyler Rogers like very good reliever. So yeah, they have like a lot of guys like not much top end talent. Like only Guerrero and Springer projected for more than 4 wins, but a lot of guys are like in that 1 to 2 win bucket, as you can see. So the win projection has the Jays 87-75. It is a bit of a step down, and it is like as you can see, like the Yankees are projected to be better, so Blue Jays probably like a wildcard spot. I do think they do like they're definitely like in the playoffs, but most likely as a wildcard spot. Just because like a lot of their results last year was unsustainable. Like as you can see, for example, like Heineman, I guess, Varsho a little bit, though he like missed half the year. Uh, Bichette like they're also like losing Bichette, of course, and he was a very good hitter for them. I drove in a ton of runs, so yeah, probably gonna lose some wins. Like, but I do think they definitely like shifted wins around a little bit, if that makes sense. Like they lost a bit of wins on the offensive side, but they did like add some pitching depth and probably gonna gain back more wins from there. So yeah, that's what I have for the Blue Jays. Thank you for watching and goodbye.